Okay, so a lot of you have asked me about this whole mix minus setup and how we are doing mix minus when we're on site for a live stream. I just finished doing some of my setup today, so I thought I would shoot a quick video just to show off what that looks like. So over here you can see we have our tech table, and our sound technician will be right here running the mixer. It's all wrapped up right now for tomorrow's show. He's got a mix of various wireless microphones, podium microphone, things like that. He is sending two feeds out. So the first feed is the one that's going into my ATEM Mini Extreme, and this is the program audio output for the entire live stream. So this has everybody speaking. It's got all of any videos that might be played back. It's got any sound that's in PowerPoint slides. It's got everything that's happening on the live stream that should be heard by the live stream. That's how we're getting it into the ATEM Mini Extreme. Now, because he's got this nice big fancy mixer here, he can send aux outputs, meaning he can send additional outputs and choose which inputs on the board go to those outputs. So we have a mix minus set up here in this cable mess. We're hiding it a little bit. There's going to be a computer that's set up right here. And this is where we're bringing in our Zoom virtual presenter. We're getting them into the live stream with an HDMI output from the computer. So that's a USB-C to HDMI. That's how we're getting their visual. Now, audio-wise, our audio tech has an 1/8 inch, also known as 3.5 millimeter. Some of you might be used to seeing these. This cord is going all the way back to his mixer. So that's how the audio is getting into the mixer of our Zoom guest, which will be in on a computer right here. That's how we can hear them speaking. And he will route that to the speakers that are in the room. There's one there, there's one over there. And he's also going to route that to the live stream output that he's feeding me. So when it gets into our ATEM Mini Extreme, anyone watching the live stream can hear what this person is saying. So that all is coming from this 1/8 inch adapter. Visually, we are getting the feed from HDMI. Audio, we're getting the audio here, but we need to give the person that is calling into this computer a return video feed. So this person needs to be able to see everything happening in the room. So when we switch between our wide shot camera to our close-up camera, or if the presenter up front, there's a little computer up front, if the presenter up front has PowerPoint slides, the person called in here needs to be able to see all of that, and they need to be able to hear all of that minus themselves. So this audio feed feeding into this ATEM, which is the live stream for the entire show, would not work because they would hear themselves. They would hear their own voice. That's what's going into this feed. So in order to feed them mix minus, there's that second output that's coming out of the mixer. It's coming all the way back here to our handy dandy web presenter. Now, the web presenter, this is the original model. This is not the model that they make right now, and I'm going to talk about that for a second. So the newer web presenter is seen more as an encoder. The original Model 1, or OG model, so to speak, was seen more as a capture device. It could take in either an SDI feed or an HDMI feed, and it would spit it out over a USB cable directly into your computer. So you've probably seen lately the Elgato Camlinks or just the original ATEM Mini. These all act as capture devices to bring a video feed into your computer as if it were a webcam. This is exactly what the original web presenter does. The newer one, the one that came out in this past year, the newer web presenter acts more of an encoder. So you would feed a video feed into it, it would encode that signal and then send it off to your CDN or wherever you're streaming to, whether that's Facebook, YouTube, anything like that. So that new version of the web presenter behaves very similarly to the built-in encoder in the ATEM Mini Pro and the ATEM Mini Extreme. So this is why we're using the older model, because it allows us to inject either an SDI, a video feed, an HDMI video feed, and we can choose to input audio using XLR. So we have the ability to say, just take the video and audio from the SDI, or just take the video and audio from the HDMI, Or we can say take the SDI feed for just video and the audio feed from the XLR, or the HDMI feed for just video and the audio feed from XLR. We get a lot of really good options here. And so that's what we're using to feed this back to our Zoom person so they can see and hear everything going on. They see the entire live stream, but they don't hear their own voice, which would be a big problem because it would echo back to them. They would hear themselves at like a half-second delay by the time it gets back to them, and it would probably confuse them immensely. So to show you the back of this custom unit that has the original web presenter in it, I'm gonna get down here into the nitty-gritty of it. This is the web presenter right back here. And you can see the web presenter has SDI in, which is this cable I'm feeding to it right now. It has an SDI loop out if we needed it, a program output, HDMI in and HDMI loop out. It also has a USB output, that's a USB connector right there, and our XLR input. So what's happening is when we need to feed this person, this Zoom guest, our mix minus feed, this SDI, we're gonna follow this back, is coming from this decimator, which is really just acting like a splitter. And this decimator is receiving HDMI input. And if we follow that cable, that is simply just the HDMI program output from my ATEM Mini Extreme. So this is the live show, everything that's happening. Just the video feed is going over that HDMI into the decimator, being converted to SDI. And this SDI is going in to our web presenter all the way in the back there. So that's how the visual is going in. Now, alternatively, for our audio, you can see this XLR cable, and this XLR cable is how we're getting our audio from our audio mixer right over here. Now, let me go ahead and get these turned on, and I'll show you the quick settings on how we're doing this. So we're back here at the front of this custom built rack unit, and I'm gonna turn it on in a second, but let me just show you what I have here. For starters, on the very top row, this is 3 SDI to HDMI adapters. This allows me to basically take cameras at a longer cable run and convert them back to HDMI so I can bring them back into my ATEM Mini. Very convenient to have just built into the rack along with all these other items, so we don't have to bring additional converters like our decimator that's tucked away back there. We're bringing those anyway, but to have 3 of them in this rack just all in one place is really convenient. Next up, we have SDI distribution. If I needed to feed this to a bunch of screens, I could feed an SDI out of the decimator, which remember that was my program output, my program. I could feed it to a whole bunch of screens. This gives me a ton of SDI outputs. This space is completely blank. There's our web presenter, so I'll turn it on in a sec. We'll talk about that. Couple of vents just for airflow, and I've labeled this so I can remember which hyperdeck is program record, which one is playback record, just in case we're trying to do something on the fly and really quickly want to know what it is. So let's go ahead and turn this puppy on. Okay, so we've got the web presenter, and I'm going to go into the menu, and we can choose our video input. So you see we have the choice of auto, SDI, or HDMI. So in this case, we are using SDI as the input. Then I can scroll over through the settings to our audio mixer. Now, if I hit set so I can actually go into this menu, if you look, we have the SDI input turned off. So the SDI audio is not going to feed into this. Same thing with HDMI input is turned off. But our XLR input is turned on, and we're giving it a little bit of a boost here just because it's going into Zoom and we want it to be louder for the audience of people that we are bringing in because our virtual presenters may be hard of hearing. So we're adding just 5 dB to the signal that we're sending. That is how we're sending mix minus from the USB cable that's in the back here. And it comes down here, and it comes in as USB-C right into the computer, and that's how we find our video and audio feed from the web presenter on the computer. So once we have that plugged into the computer and we open up Zoom, we simply change our microphone and video settings to be the Blackmagic Web Presenter, and that's how the computer sees it, and that's the feed that will be going back out to our virtual presenter over Zoom. Remember, this is a second Zoom call. This is not the main Zoom that we're streaming out to. This is just a private Zoom meeting for our presenters only to call in so we can bring them into the live stream. And that, my friends, is how we do mix minus on our live streams when we're trying to bring in Zoom presenters. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if this was helpful, please be sure to hit that subscribe and like button below this video, and then comment below if you have any questions about how this setup operates. I'll see you down there in the comments.